So what does 2022 have in store, and how will tech change our lives next year? Well, joining us now is Hatem Dhiab, managing partner at investment management firm Gerber Kawasaki. Hatem, what are some of the biggest tech stories you're watching out for coming next year?
Hey Ken, thank you for having me. The metaverse, it's been such a hype word the last 3 to 4 months, but I think 2022 we'll see it actually come to fruition. And let me start by defining it. A lot of people say the word, but I think the metaverse is really bridging our real world with the digital world that we spend so much time in. And we've seen it with video games over the last few years, but I think with Apple coming into the space next year with hopefully an amazing device, we're going to see massive adoption.
So what are your expectations, since you mentioned that Apple may or may not release perhaps a headset, an AR headset, a VR headset,
Yep.
we don't know. So what are your expectations when it comes to the metaverse, at least when it comes to adoption next year?
Right. So currently, the main player is really some of the gaming companies where people like Roblox and Activision, where people can interact, but also Oculus, which is Facebook basically, and more in a VR kind of way. And there is Snapchat with some glasses. What we see the real metaverse next year is just beyond VR. We see it an AR, XR mixed world where we have a lot of experiences that we share with devices seamlessly through different real interaction with friends and so forth. What happened with Facebook is there's a lack of trust right now, a huge lack of trust. But if Apple comes into the space, and we know how Apple is able to make things super sleek, and they're able to really make them easy to use, and really kind of increase that adoption, because simply they're going to provide an ecosystem to be able to find these experiences and use them safely and securely. And I think that's why 2022 may be the year to see that happen.
I was going to ask, we've had AR glasses, we've also had AR glasses that aren't quite the ones you're used to. Like, remember, Google Glass was going to introduce us to something of that AR metaverse. So why do you think now, or 2022 rather, is the perfect time for the metaverse to really sink its teeth in and have a lot of folks start to embrace it?
I think Google Glass was just too early. The technology is much better now. Things that just work a lot better in smaller devices. You know, whatever we're going to wear has to be seamless, has to look good, and has to really work well. Consumers do not do well when things are not working well right away. So I think Apple is finally there with the M1 chip and all the technology that have developed over the last few years. We finally can see a device that's going to accomplish a lot of things in a way that hasn't been possible before.
So tech stocks continue to drive markets this year. Do you think that trend will continue in 2021, especially now during the potential of government regulation?
Yeah, you know, it's incredible, right? We have a 27% S&P return this year, but basically half of that return is driven by 5 or 6 companies, mostly the tech stocks. So I think that's something that can be challenged next year. We're going to see more regulation for sure on the social media players. Maybe Amazon will see some discussions around monopoly. Maybe Apple with their Apple Store. But I think all those things will definitely create some pressures on these stocks. And frankly, there's a lot of other players down in the U.S. that have some really fascinating and really compelling technologies and things that will do well.
Now, there's a prediction about Amazon and perhaps the company spinning off its Amazon Web Services. If cloud services are so essential to the internet, why is it that there's this prediction?
I'm going to call that. You know, analysts have been calling for Amazon to spin off AWS for a long time. It's just a completely different business from what Amazon does. Mm-hmm. And I think 2022, in the face of increased regulatory pressure from the regulators, I think finally Amazon will go off and really spin it out. For the record, AWS is a fascinating business. They do over 80 billion in revenue, 30% profit margin. So by itself, that could be at least $1 trillion business down the road. So I think what Amazon can do is it can unlock a lot of shareholder value by spinning off this business, and then allow them maybe to use the cash or those resources to get into other businesses or really improve some of the logistics business or some other stuff they're trying to do.
So companies not only, this is my last question for you, companies not only want consumers to step into the metaverse next year, but a lot of companies want consumers to step into electric vehicles. What do you think the electric vehicle market, at least for consumers, will look like next year? Do you think we'll be on the highway with more people in EVs or not?
I think the game is over. Like we're all adopted electric vehicles. It's the future. I think Tesla has proven that. Is the question in 2022 is who else is going to come up, right? We have the native electric vehicle makers like Rivian and Lucid. Are they going to be able to execute? I think that's what everyone is going to watch that. Rivian was one of the most successful IPOs this year. So there is a lot of hype and there is a lot of expectation on them, but execution is not easy. And then are the traditional makers going to be able to do it? Like Ford and GM, are they finally serious? I think probably Ford is more serious than GM, but the other makers have to come up with some compelling products to invest in technology like Tesla has. And obviously the king is going to be Tesla with Austin opening up their new Gigafactory, and then Europe opening up. So they're gonna flood the market with a lot of vehicles, which they're all going to be sold, I think.
All right, Hatem Dhiab, managing partner at Gerber Kawasaki. Hatem, thank you so much for being with us, and I appreciate a Happy New Year if I do not see you, sir.